Welcome to the new student guide video for Smart Science Labs. And so the first step is to go to the website smartsciencelab.com, and you should have an ID and a password. So when you see this box that says please type in your ID, username, or key, I'm going to type in my ID here, press the button submit, see that my class is active, put in my password, and press the button log in. So remember, put in your ID, press submit, choose your class if there's more than one, put in your password, and press log in. Now you'll see a list of activities that you've been assigned by your instructor. And I'm going to enter an activity called Shadows. At the top of the screen, you'll see the theme of the lab. So students, please make sure to pay attention to this theme. This is going to be what you're thinking about while you're doing the lab today. And at the bottom, you'll see the flow of the lesson. So we're going to start with our Engage page. That's going to be some background reading with some warm questions. And then we'll go to Explore the Lab, get evaluated with a quiz, and explain our results of the lab report. Let's go through each of those. Just in case you're curious or interested, you can select a different language at the top of the page. There are about 100 different languages that work through machine language translation. For example, if I want to see the lesson in Spanish, I can do that. Or if I want to see the lesson in Arabic, there it is. Or Chinese, once again, there it is. Let's go back to English and continue the video. The first thing to do in a Smart Science Lab is read your introduction and answer your warm-up questions. For some of the labs, you'll see a hint feature that tells you whether or not you're getting the questions right or wrong as you're doing them. So if you do get it incorrect, wait 3 seconds and then try again to see if you can get the correct answer. Once you're done with your warm-up, there's a blue submit button at the bottom of the quiz. Press that, and you notice a dialog box. Your answers will be graded. Do you wish to continue? Press yes if you're ready to move on. Press no if you want to try working the quiz questions a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and press yes, and we're going to see an explanation to each question. So quickly review your answers, notice which ones you got wrong and right, and notice the explanations, and then at the bottom there's a close button. When you press close, you're going to move into the lab page. Now before you get started doing a Smart Science Lab, the first thing you do is pick a hypothesis you'd like to test. So notice if the question is how do shadows change during the day, I'm going to talk about what I think they look like in the middle of the day. So if it's the middle of the day, shadows are longer. If it's the middle of the day, then shadows are shorter. Or if any time of day, shadows are the same length. Let's just go ahead and pick one of these. The next step will be to pick an experiment. Off to the right, you'll see this little box that allows you to pick an experiment. So just go ahead and choose the first one. You'll notice a play button appears below the video. So I'm going to press play. And we're going to notice an experiment video is now playing. In this case, you see the sun going across the sky and the shadow going across the ground. So my goal with each Smart Science lesson is to think about the hypothesis and try to test that with data. To do that, I've picked an experiment and I've played it, and now I have to measure some kind of data. In this case, I'm going to click on the end of the shadow. You'll notice the instructions here below the video. You'll also notice that there's a picture of the instructions showing me where to click. Let's follow those instructions and click on the tip of the shadow. Press next or keyboard enter. Tip of the shadow. Next, tip of the shadow. This is going to allow me to track the shadow throughout the whole day. And at the same time doing this, you'll notice to the right there's data appearing on a graph, and there's points appearing in a data table. We've got shadow length in centimeters. We've got time of day in hours. So we started around 7 a.m. Now I'm around 2 p.m., 3:30, a little after 4 o'clock, and so forth. And we also notice based on the shape of the shadow, we can tell at what time of day shadows were tall and at what time of day shadows were shorter. To get through a Smart Science lesson, there's a minimum of 2 experiments that must be done. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a second experiment, press the play button again, watch another experiment movie. There goes the sun across the sky, and there goes the shadow across the ground. And then I'm going to go ahead and do some quick measurements. Let's do this quickly. I'm going to use the enter key, clicking on the edge of the shadow. Notice that if I'm not accurate in how I click, I can get sloppy data. So students, do your best to follow the instructions. Do your best to realize what a good clicking point for the data is. You may do each set of data many times. If you feel like doing it a few more times, it will make you better at it. You can try again if you feel like your data is messy like mine is. When you get to the end, just press play and just measure again. It'll replace your old data with a new set of data. Now here I've got a few graphs. Notice that I've got the 6th of May and the 20th of May. And also notice I can click between those just below where the graph is. I can also click an all button to superimpose those graphs. Start to notice if they look the same or different, if there's any changes when I move from day to day. Okay, now looking at my flow of the lesson, my blue engage, I've finished that. My blue explore, I've done a bit of that. And now with evaluate, there's a little hand on it. That means I can click evaluate. The little close symbol on explain and extend means I cannot click those. So let's click evaluate. And let's go ahead and try to answer some of these questions. And I'm just clicking randomly because I want to show you that once you've finished answering your questions, there is a submit button at the bottom. Once again, it's going to ask you if you wish to continue. Your answers will be graded. I'm going to press yes. And once again, I'm going to see an explanation, which ones I got wrong, which ones I got right. And I can go ahead and close that to move on. Now the little hand sits on the explain page. I press that. You'll now notice copy my graphs comes out. I can refer to these graphs while I'm writing my lab report. Okay, that's nice. And we're going to follow the steps on the right for the lab report. It says, what did you investigate? Write about what you did. What was the lab about? And I write my report here. What were the steps of the lab? What materials you used? And make a conclusion. So it's very straightforward. If you just follow the boxes, write in each one, try to answer the bullet pointed questions as best as you can, and when you're done, press the submit button. It's going to ask if your answers will be graded. Do you wish to continue? I'm going to press yes. And then it's going to announce your submission is complete. You may continue by archiving or closing your report. So I'm going to go ahead and close. There is an extra credit question in every lesson under the extend. That's not required to get full credit. But if you'd like to do more and impress your teacher and show them all the stuff you know, then you may go ahead and do the extend. Also, I'm going to point out there's a menu up here. It's three horizontal lines in a vertical pattern. We have goals, procedures, scientists, units, dictionary, vocabulary, and help. Click on any one of those to see that information. For example, here are the goals for this lab. Also under that menu, you can see the procedure for the lab. Also under that menu, you can see a relevant scientist who may have studied in this field. And that's been your tour of the basic features of the student side of the Smart Science Lab. This is your student guide video. And if you have any more questions, please go to the Smart Science website, smartscience.net. You can press the Contact Us button and fill in the form and let us know what you need. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.